So the main reason why people who claim to be speakers, motivational speakers, that want to get on stage, the main reason why they're not actually earning any type of income from it is because there is a three-tiered system that has to be met. It's like a puzzle piece. There's three things that all have to align in order for you to actually get paid speaking opportunities, and not just one, but consistency, right? Consistency is the name of the game when it comes to being a speaker, because that's how we get paid, consistently getting on stages. And so the three ingredients, it really breaks down. We'll start with number one, which it's really kind of the most important one, but none of them work without the others. And I'll explain why. The first one is all about having a position to be an authority in that space. And the way that you become an authority in that space is by knowing what you're talking about, having a seminar. The seminar that you build has to solve a problem. It's 2025. Nobody wants to hear this, hype man song thing anymore. We want some value, bro. We want something that's valuable. And so you have to build a seminar that solves a problem. As soon as you learn that and you start to actually present yourself as the solution for people's issues while you're on stage speaking, when you're doing your outreach to people, at that point, that is where you're going to be able to get more gigs. Because if you just say I'm a motivational speaker, nobody cares, man. Nobody cares that you say that you're a speaker. The only thing that they care about is, can you help my organization, my school, my business overcome some type of a hurdle? And so this is one of the main reasons why it's really challenging for people who don't have any type of success in business, or no type of success in any real thing, like to become speakers. Like if you were, for example, an athlete, like you've achieved a lot through that, right? Like if you were a successful entrepreneur, you achieved a lot through that. If you were in the military, you achieved a lot through that. But the average everyday person who just wakes up, they go to the job that they got when they were 22 after college, and they just work, like they haven't had like the struggles and wins and losses that that most people want to hear about, because the things that you're going through are the same things that everyone's going through. They want to hear something a little bit different, a little bit special. So it can be a challenge, but it's not impossible. So you need to learn how to take your story and take your life and craft it in such a way that it solves problems for people. Now, once you have this is your first ingredient, right? This is the main thing here. Your first ingredient. The second ingredient is almost more important when it comes to the authority space. We're really talking about putting you in a position where you have a personal brand that it doubles down on the authority. It doubles down on that. Meaning, when on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, you have a brand that says, I'm a motivator, I'm an inspiration, I talk to people about this topic, this is what I speak on, this is what I do. I just got off a call with a potential client who does wrestling, and he's a fantastic wrestler. Like, this guy is absolutely awesome. And he's built a really great business doing it. Like, he's crushing it right now, doing seminars for wrestling organizations, high schools, middle schools, even elementary schools. And the thing is, that's his brand. It gives him authority in that, and he's accomplished something. And so he's got so much content of him talking and speaking and coaching and doing his seminars, because that's what it's all about, right? He has a brand that gives him the authority in that space. And so you got to ask yourself, like, what does your personal brand say about you right now? Does your personal brand say that you're the authority in anything, or does your personal brand say that you are just an everyday person who makes posts with their meal, makes posts with their food, right? Like, takes a picture of your dog, it's your profile picture. Like, what does your brand say? And a lot of times these people who say that they're speakers, or they can't wonder, like, Max, why am I not getting motivational speaking jobs? Why am I not getting on stage speaking? Why am I not able to do seminars about business? Why are these things not working out for me? Well, the main reason is because you don't even have a brand. Even if you do have the expertise, you don't have a brand that says that. Because as soon as you reach out to somebody, they're going to ask you for one thing. They're going to say, do you have anything to show me? Or even worse, they're going to just look you up without even asking you. They're just going to search your name in Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or on Google, and nothing's going to come up. And if something does come up, it's either not going to be, it's not going to look good, or it's not going to help, right? And so, like, you need to build a brand, which means really making content. You need to make content, just like me. Like, I spent years making content to build my brand, to build my authority. What does that look like? Well, I mean, videos like this, right? Building up my YouTube channel, the 500,000 people that I have follow me on TikTok, the 250,000 people I have follow me on Instagram. It's not about having a gigantic brand, but it's not even about the amount of followers. It's about the content. Like YouTube, I have very little subscribers. Like, at the time of this video, I have like like 1,000 something subscribers, right? And so like that's cool though, because if you go to it, it's very clear who I am and what I stand for. And that's really what you need to build is that brand, that personal statement saying like this is who I am and this is what I do. And then the third, and really, I mean, this is like the make or break. It's actually the systems, right? What do I mean by system? Well, what I mean by system is how do you actually make contact? As a Marine, one of the things that we get taught to do very, very well is how to make contact with the enemy, right? Locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. Well, contact is the name of the game. And so you need to pick up the phone and reach out to people. You need to send the emails and reach out to people. And now you might be saying, well, Max, I've been doing that. I've been calling people and I've been reaching out to people and I've been doing that. Well, then the question is, do you have the brand that establishes you as the authority? If someone opens up that email, are they gonna see this email and say, okay, well, let me look at his page. And then they're like, man, yeah, this page is awesome. This guy speaks on so much good stuff. Or are they going to just be like, who is this guy? He's a nobody, right? What can he teach us? And so you don't even get to the point where you can solve a problem. Like when you reach out to them, you have to let them know the problem that you solve. And you have to be the type of individual who reaches out to the right people, right? So for example, if I want to talk about bullying and I'm a speaker and I talk about, bullying with high schools all the time, and all of a sudden now I'm going to start reaching out to organizations and corporate, and I don't have the solutions that corporate needs. I don't have that. I talk about bullying in high school and social media. Well, is that going to help corporate? No. Well, maybe if you start talking about leadership, right? Maybe if you started talking about proficiency, if you started talking about safety, right? Like these things, these are buzzwords for the corporate world, right? So like that's what you got to think about. Does your problem align with the target audience that you have? It's an equation. It all lines up. It all works together. So let's dive into what I mean by system a little bit, right? When I'm talking system, you got a few different options here, right? You have organic and you have paid. So these are really kind of like your only two options. Like when I mean organic, I'm talking about your brand. I'm talking about you have people that reach out to you. You could send somebody a direct message. You're not paying for the lead. Organic is also going out to networking events and meeting people, right? So networking, right? We're talking about, DMing people, reaching out to them. We're talking about people reaching out to you, right? Because they see something that you posted and they really, really like it. Right. Organic is, you make a story on Instagram that you're, taking speaking jobs. Like, is somebody going to reach out to you in that way? It's possible, unlikely, but it's possible, so you have your organic reach, right? And then you have paid. The paid way is honestly the better way, but most people don't want to do it because, well, it costs money. And the average American is afraid to invest. That's why the average American savings account has less than $500. And actually, I think less than $1,000 as the average American savings account. They get less than $1,000. And so what that really means is people don't want to invest their money. Number one, because they feel like if they invest it, they don't have control because they can't pull it out and they can't see it. And number two, because they don't have enough to do it in the first place, right? Like they don't make enough. They're not budgeting properly. They're spending more than they're making. And so if we're talking about paid ads, really what that looks like is putting yourself into a position where you create a system, right? Let me just go ahead and just draw this fresh over here, right? So let's go ahead and say that you have an advertisement, and that advertisement talks about what you speak on. It talks about the problem, and then we target it exactly to who it is that you want it to go out to. Now, maybe it's an age group, maybe it's a demographic, maybe we just go ahead and let, whatever platform, maybe it's Google or Facebook or whatever, just kind of categorize it how it wants using AI, and that's cool because that works. You have a couple different options. You can bring them directly to a funnel, which is some type of VSL, some type of landing page, some type of like form, or you could bring them to, your direct messages in one of your platforms. And so by doing that, here you're going to be able to build trust and have a conversation, and this conversation still leads to a call, right? Over here, you don't build quite as much trust. This one just takes them to a form, which leads them directly to a call. Now, with something like speaking, the cool thing about it is if you run an ad and somebody requests you to speak, a lot of the times you're going to be able to actually follow up with them because they actively are seeking somebody to help them. It's not like, a paid service where right now I'm feeling motivated to do something, but I don't know if I want to. Usually they're like, hey, I've been wanting to put on an event for my my students or want to put on an event for my employees. And so I need somebody, right? So it's a little bit of a different system. So usually that'll work. But this one right here puts you in a position to build a lot of trust. And the cool thing about building trust with people is the process to actually close them happens a lot faster, because when you're having a conversation in a direct message, by the time you get on a call with somebody, they feel like they know you a little bit. And that's really important in the field of speakers, because there are a lot of people who claim to be speakers. I guarantee you there's somebody out here who is probably charging less than you. And we'll talk a little bit about speaker fees and like what that looks like. But there's somebody who's charging less than you and probably has a better brand than you do. And so, they might end up going with them. But if you build the trust, now all of a sudden they just like your style. They probably didn't get a chance to talk to that other person yet. They just seen their content and their videos. And so this can really put you ahead. And so when you put all three of these systems together, like that's really what we're talking about, right? So we're saying the system for outreach, right? System for outreach. We're talking about the brand. And then we're talking about putting you in a position to have your actual the problem that you solve, right? I guess we'll call that the solution, right? When you put all three of these together, you end up with like one of those Power Ranger like megamorphosis things, right? So like, how does this work? Well, if you only have a really good brand, but you don't talk clearly about the problem that you solve, the solutions that you offer, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to get paid. You can have 100,000 followers on Instagram and you're not going to make $1, right? You can have a system to do outreach and you're running ads, but if you don't have a brand that they can trust, a brand that they can look at, and you don't have like, your funnel set up, you don't have a place for opt-ins, you're not managing that well, those leads go nowhere. You find yourself in a really bad spot where you're just missing possible work. They don't trust what you're saying. You don't have a clear solution. They don't really know what you speak on. It's just generic motivation. So the system only works if you have those other elements. And let's say you really do have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise. And there are a lot of people out here in the world like that have a large amount of expertise in many, many things. Well, the problem here is if you have great expertise, but you don't have a brand that talks about it, it doesn't really matter because nobody knows. And if you're too afraid to spend money on ads, or you don't understand that organic reach means you have to reach out to people, which a lot of people are nervous about, then you're never going to make contact. And you got to make contact. You have to make contact with the enemy in order for you to actually get paid speaking opportunities. So when push comes to shove, you find yourself in a position where you want to be able to get on stage and speak. You want to be able to have conversations. You want to be able to earn $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in a single month from 2 or 3 speaking engagements. You don't want to work your deadbeat job anymore. You want to be able to do something great. The speaking industry is a $25 billion industry, and there's a lot of money to be made, and it doesn't matter how many speakers are out there because there's always more work to be had, and there's always a different voice that people want, and maybe they don't take you this year, but maybe they take you next year. But you got to be willing to put in the work, and if you're not going to get paid. It's that simple.